Okay, everybody, it's Nick Dutch back again. And I really hope that my last video didn't freak some of you people out. I haven't stopped being a transcendental deist. Okay, I still take that attitude. I think it is the sanest one to take. In fact, that there's too much that we don't know. Therefore, we can't really make any real strong claims as to what we can achieve. But the phenomena and the force is still out there, and things still happen. So therefore, transcendental deism makes essentially the most sense. And it makes the most sense for other reasons too, because the history of magic and of witchcraft is full, for obvious reasons, of fraud and bad behavior and really dodgy stuff, and people trying to sell magical solutions to things which don't necessarily do what they were meant to do. So therefore, I think we have to have that quality of skepticism and questioning. And after all, we're talking about something which is dubbed magic these days. The word magic, people understand whatever that means in lots of different ways. So therefore, it becomes really, really difficult. I'm keeping it simple. I'm keeping it down to the generation of spiritual experiences and to hope for an anomalous experience as well. That appears to be the best way of looking at these things. I mean, if you think about what Aleister Crowley wrote in Magic and Theory and Practice, the action of rising the planes is the only thing which he has said in a manner which suggests that he is giving you a direct order. Everything else is more a question of a combination between his understandings and maybe his experiences and what he thinks at the time. But the only direct order is the Ascension Meditation. So therefore, is the Ascension Meditation the principal means of the powers and their attainment? This is the question. I mean, you can go to various different bookshops and buy all kinds of stuff. And I even read one book on witchcraft in my youth, and it suggested that the powers and their attainment come from reading the Lord's Prayer backwards. No, that's just called a bit of heretical play theatre in your bedroom. That's not necessarily something which is going to change your perception, intention and attention and give you the ability to change your states of mind and possibly to move into the anomalous states of consciousness which is required for the purposes of attempting anything even remotely spiritualistic or energy work or magical and the rest of that. But there appears to be different levels, mental levels, in which we can shift energy, but then one would assume therefore that the type of energy that you're shifting is related to the state of consciousness or spiritual experience that you're having at the time. I think everything is affected by all kinds of other things, you know what I mean? There's interconnections inside you, as well as interconnections between you and the outer world, and interconnections between everything else in the outer world and everything else. So there's lots and lots and lots of forces involved here, and therefore obviously we can't turn around and say magic works, because otherwise it's you're saying something which isn't true. You're giving a black and white thing to something which is not black and white. Okay, so therefore, once again, the context of the subject in discussion is not compatible with the statement of it works. It just doesn't. Or magic works, or the power of prayer works. We can't use that expression. We can say that work is being done, but we can't really say that it works or magic works. It just doesn't work to do that. And there are, of course, lots of easy to please people in this world who say, well, this religion works. Well, what does that mean? Can you go into that in greater detail? And also, is the religious traditions you've created in the year 2000 sufficiently capable, sufficiently open for people to work out in what ways it's not quite doing its job, the ways in which it's not quite enhancing a person's mentality and making them more well integrated into life, or more successful to be a more well-balanced person. These are things which require consideration. Anyway, that's me digressing and going on to my usual soapbox again. Reverting back to the subject of Ascension Meditation. This is something which I think I need personally to take much more seriously. Now, I don't quite know what direction I'm going to take that in, because it depends upon what happens to me at the time. And I think it's something I'm going to have to try. I mean, obviously, Crowley says every single day, do your Ascension Meditation every single day. I'm living a 21st century lifestyle, okay? I will fit it in when I can fit it in. And then we'll see how we go, and hopefully that'll be enough to have the neurogenesis and neuroplasticity effect upon me. But then the question is, how far can I take it? Are there lots of other worlds I could experience as a result of this? Hypothetically, yes. I managed to get through to a point in which I had some strong visions of these trees made of light. and it was very weird and very transcendental and very nice. Didn't see any entities there at that within that particular experience. But on the other hand, sometimes you have those when you're in bed at night and your mind is going into the ascended state and you're opening up when you're asleep, and then maybe you'll have an astral projection dream which will be somehow connected to blah 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 blah. Okay, as I say, when you're thinking about the experience you've had, you don't think about it as corroborating your religion. Don't think about it as corroborating your spirituality or your opinions at all. Just look objectively at all the phenomena which happened and describe in great precise detail to yourself what actually happened. And then maybe you can try and work out through subsequent experiences some of the properties of what you've experienced. Is it something that can be used for, the delivering of healing energies? Is it something which can be used for remote communication? Is it something that can be used for further spiritual experience? Or are you genuinely having a communication with some variety of disembodied entity, spirit, or guide? Again, lots of questions. And sometimes, as Crowley said with his remote viewing, the discussion, the time to test it is later. All right, what we do is not do something that works and in fact it creates a change in the outer world. What we're doing is something, and we're seeing what kind of experiences could happen as a direct result of it. The theories about entities suggest that people could not only communicate with them, but could actually interact with them in different ways in order to make sure that things work out well in the physical world. Too many questions there, too many questions. And what precisely, how could we explain and deal with and perceive the change of states of consciousness that would need to happen? Surely that's actually a form of almost possession. And therefore we also have to think about psychological health and wellness as well. And also how you think yourself into that state of mind and how you think yourself out of that state of mind afterwards, so you can revert back to clear, cold analysis as to what's happened. I'm beginning to feel that one of the reasons this is starting to happen to me is because I've been doing tarot for so long. I've been doing, a few meditations here and there, that sort of thing, and a few exercises here and there, thus leading me to the point whereby I'm having this particular perception of things around me. My energy has changed. My energy is changing, and there's a new form which I'm steadily moving into. However long it'll take will be however long it takes, and what I'll be doing in the meantime will be what I'll be doing in the meantime, but it's questions. But this ascension meditation thing, I really think it's not only got legs, so to speak, but it's also really, really central. Sitting down in meditation, in your comfortable cross-legged position, however your traditions or your own personal style dictates, and doing your rhythmic breathing, circular breathing. Breathe in for the same quantity of time you're holding your breath, then breathing out for the same quantity of time, then breathing in for the same quantity of time, and so on and so forth. That brings more oxygen into the brain. That means that your organ for you to be able to do magic is receiving oxygen. Okay, your organ to do magic is receiving oxygen. A bit harder to do when you're also focusing on words that you may be chanting and the rest of that, but it does help. It's not necessarily something to keep up through the entire ritual you're doing, but it is something which helps and assists. Not so much, of course, with astral projection, because you want your body to be comatose. All right, but you probably do some beforehand when you're practicing your visualizations to try and bring yourself into that state. Practicing your visualizations is essentially a part of training, a bit like training your muscles to using a treadmill prior to eventually doing a marathon at some point, that sort of thing. The brain is like a muscle. The intuition is like a muscle. It needs to be practiced. It needs to be played with. And the change in your state of perception needs to be something which you can control and influence with the right words, right attitudes, right images, and so on and so forth, as you see fit, taking into account the symbols, systems, and understandings which you have built up. Okay? We're not talking about a simple subject. We're not talking about something which should be talked about simplistically. We are talking about a very complicated discipline and culture of ideas, much of which is based upon prayer and meditation, and using those states wisely. So I think we could say those preparatory exercises, do them, body scan meditation, chakra meditations: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, brilliant white, in order, in sequence, slowly. Get the color right. Okay, visualize the color as clear and pure as you can. Use the visualizations shown to us by Barbara Ann Brenner with her images of the chakras, because those appear to be good. All right, they appear to be good from what I can tell. But I think the Ascension meditation, trying to reach a divine level, attempting to have, through invocation of divine forces, some variety of divine experience. Whether those divine forces exist or not, it doesn't matter. It's like a radionic code. It's like a form of information you're trying to bring into yourself. But the state of mind then becomes holy. It becomes reverent, tranquil, prayerful. But also very focused in a singular way. Like, your mind should not be worried about the shopping and worried about the cleaning and cooking and paying off the bills and all that kind of stuff. It's all got to go. And that's got to go because you're trying to create something analogous to an alpha state, something with the features of an alpha state but with a transcendental state thrown into it. Or indeed what people call an alpha state, which probably isn't a proper alpha state anyway, but it's very calm, it's very, very relaxed, it's very focused. And it's like the preparatory stage for the next thing. Yeah. The powers and their attainment comes from those 3 preparatory exercises I've mentioned, including and also mindfulness. Mindfulness is an important tool if you're going to be a diviner. Yeah, I think so. The powers and their attainments predominantly come from Ascension meditation.